Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a Good Play Gaming Southeastern Asian Invitational Group Stage presentation of MVP Phoenix versus Gigabyte Mineski here. This is a two-game series, or a best of two, between these two teams. Essentially, it's just going to be down to who can get the most points on the board. Right now, looking at the standings, we do see that they are not looking so good in terms of Mineski. They've played two games up against Arrow Gaming, lost both of them. Of course, that is probably considered one of the hardest opponents in the groups themselves. Obviously, Titan and MVP Phoenix also ranking up very highly. So we're going to be seeing if they can actually pick up some points here and move on forward. They're technically tied for second place with Invasion, but that's because only 3 teams have played. And yeah, now we're going to be adding another 3 to that. First, the MVP Phoenix versus Mineski, and then later on we'll be seeing Invasion and Zero Latitude coming into play. So back over to the draft screen. We're going to be looking at an interesting little drafting phase here. It seems kind of tried and true. It doesn't seem to be shifting too much from the 6.81b, but that's to be expected. It was just released yesterday. It's very difficult for teams to experiment on something that they just kind of came up with. Now that said, most of the tweaks were relatively minor, most numerical, so it's like, okay, you can pretty much predict the impact of most of those. But one thing that's very important to mention is the fact that there is no Batrider ban. And that's because, first of all, more and more SEA has been trending away from the Batrider first picks because of the fact that they just feel that they can control and manage it effectively enough. At least a lot of teams do. Jesse Vash still loves to play as Batrider, so I'm thinking Mineski might look into it for the first few. But you have to keep one thing in mind. Radiant Batrider is very reliant on rotating back into his jungle and getting the farm there, and at least looking at the math that Merlini did on one of his recent YouTube videos, it's actually about like a 40% increase in time it takes to kill creeps with the combination of like a rank 2 Firefly and a rank 2 Sticky Napalm. So jungling a lot harder, and obviously it's variable based on the stacks, but going for this first pick here, we'll see how effective it is. It's a little bit weaker as far as farming potential for that early Blink Dagger, but nevertheless, this is a hero that brings a lot to the table in terms of positioning control, in terms of hard lockdown. It's very nice indeed.
Radiant team pick.
I'm going to turn my Dota 2 audio up just a little bit. It went down a little more than I wanted, so we'll get some nice sound effects back and forth. And along with that, brings me to my next point, the Invoker. The Cold Snap did get nerfed out quite heavily. It's essentially no longer a damage-dealing source in the early game. It just does. It provides a mini stun, maybe gets you an extra auto attack or 2 in, but it's kind of like getting a level 1 headshot on a sniper. Like, it doesn't actually do that much increased damage, but the mini bashes are frustrating as all get out. So we'll see if we see more prioritization into quads, or we see people shying away from that. But no matter what, we're going to be seeing the Batrider and Invoker, the core pickups here, while MVP Phoenix tend towards something a little different here. These two heroes are very popular in Korean Dota. The fact that they have a lot of mobility utility with their ultimates, and of course the fact that they can farm like crazy and dish out damage in a wide team sense. If you don't control these heroes, then they're going to be able to make a pretty big impact. And we've seen QO pick up both of these, and even Forev plays a mean Ember Spirit, so you got to watch out for him. Yeah, Ember Spirit got nerfed. It doesn't seem to be first pick material in most teams' minds, but when you look at what Forev can do with this hero, I would actually say that it is worth that early pickup. So we'll have to see who's right and who's wrong in this situation, how the draft progresses. But for right now, the real undertone is that supports haven't been prioritized nearly as much. They feel there are so many viable supports, so many supports that can work in this situation, that you might as well just leave them to the next phase, at least between these two teams in this first game of the best of 2. For those that don't recognize my voice, I didn't get a chance to introduce myself. Broadcasting here on Beyond the Summit, I myself am Blaze, and I'd like to thank you guys for tuning in here today. Hopefully you guys will enjoy the commentary. In either case, happy to be able to bring it to you guys here, and yeah, we're going to be seeing some interesting back and forth. Another important thing to mention is the current stand-in status for Mineski. They're playing with these two stand-ins earlier today in some of their matches in the GEST, but yeah, it's Arc Style and BYB. BYB also has an alias of Wormy if he's ever been playing in that role set, but yeah, I honestly don't have any familiarity with these guys. Obviously, they're comfortable enough with them to play in a competitive setting with them 2 matches consecutively. And, yeah, I'm not too sure. Right now, Mineski's lineup in general just seems to be a little more haphazard than it used to be. There seems to be a lot of shuffling going on for teams that didn't make it to the top 2 in the qualifiers, and yeah, Mineski is definitely one of them, even though they did place into the playoffs.
10 seconds
so,
remaining.
Trying to prove themselves here, maybe with a new roster, maybe just with a trial phase. They're going to be bringing these guys into play, and we'll have to see exactly what they can accomplish. Anyways, going into the next phase, we do see the Doom Dazzle band. They're going to pick the Witch Doctor in its stead. A very powerful hero in his own right with the potential chain stun and the aspect of that Death Ward. A lot of teams are prioritizing the Voodoo Restoration more and more, though, so the Aura actually might come into play where you do provide that sustenance and continue some early push pressure. Either way, they're going to be going up against a Sand King here. That's going to be in the hands of Mineski's supports here. And one thing I do want to highlight is that the other day we did, when he was facing up against Arrow with a couple of their stand-ins, Jay actually picked up the support role. He went for a support Sand King. And now I will say that I wasn't fully impressed with it compared to his other hero play, but that's just because he's so darn good as a core. Like, you look at his Morphling, his Naga Siren, and it is one of the best in SEA. So to see him play on a Sand King and show that he is a little bit unfamiliar in that role set, it's just that it doesn't comparatively seem as impactful just because he's so damn good in that other role set. So we'll see if he's actually making that full transition into support or if that was a one-off type thing. In either case, the Sand King is going to be here to play. In response, we're going to see the Ruby come out from MVP Phoenix, so their supports are pretty well set, but there's a lot of single target here. Like, obviously later on the Ember Spirit will have a lot of cleave, Witch Doctor might have bounces with his own Death Ward, and the Naga Siren gets different AoE aspects, mostly the Radiance. But for the most part, they are really just focusing their disables on one target at a time, and that it can be an okay thing at some time. Like, you see a Batrider blinking all by himself, a single target disable is going to fit the bill. You just telekinesis him, you ensnare him, something like that, and it's going to cause him a world of hurt. But at the same time, that means that in the full-on team fights, if Mineski just drafts a little bit more of in-your-face type heroes, which they do love to pick in general, I definitely think that that might be causing some problems. Still, it's important not to underrate the fact that telekinesis has a secondary stun, and that hits in an AoE, and the Paralyzing Cask, of course, bounces between heroes, and therefore can hit more than one. So we'll see if it's sufficient, if their positioning and their usage of those abilities will provide enough control for the team, or if they're going to go for one of those big team-wide ultimates. Right now, Tidehunter was the one that got banned out, but there are still plenty of heroes that work pretty well there. Centaur, although pretty much down on his luck as far as win rate goes, still has a lot to bring to the table as a hero in general. And in this case, it's going to be Mineski picking up the Death Prophet here. So it's a little weird seeing the Tri-Core is essentially Death Prophet, Invoker, Batrider. They have some push, some team fight, some pick-off potential. It really just comes down to when the Blink Daggers come out. And I guess the Death Prophet is a good way to fuel those Blink Daggers by providing early Tier 1 tower kills that'll put gold on the board for the entire team. And that puts them much more in a fighting posture. But I don't... If they don't pick up another, like, actual scalable hero, then they do certainly fall off. Like, by, let's say, the 45-minute mark, comparing a Naga Siren and an Ember Spirit and their scalability to a Death Prophet, where she can just get as tanky as she can and otherwise relies on her spirits for DPS, it really comes down to the fact that she doesn't really bring that. So Mineski are really emphasizing push and early kills. If they can get this kind of steamrolling advantage, MVP Phoenix are certainly going to be in trouble because they don't bring that much to the early stages. But that said, if they can just hold out, if they can play a turtle game, they can pull ahead in this, and they definitely can cinch the win for game number 1. Each game matters individually here, so each one looking for a point. You either get a win for 2, a loss for 2, or a draw for 1.
10 seconds remaining.
Now we're going to see here coming through here the Night Stalker. I believe in a solo mid-roll, but it's really hard to call in this situation. Like, I don't know if they're going to go for like aggro try and then safe lane Naga Siren. I mean, it just, there's so many different ways that you could see this happening. But essentially, I do feel that Night Stalker is most prominent in a solo lane, so maybe 1v1 against the Death Prophet, and the Naga Siren could handle the Batrider. That's what I was thinking before with that aggro try aspect. But, I mean, we have also seen some weird stuff from the Korean scene in general, the Korean meta. For example, Sexy Bamboo on Team Zephyr likes to run Naga Siren in the offlane with boots first, and because she has large base armor and large base movement speed, there's really very little that they can do to her to prevent her from at least getting her level 6 and contributing to team fights that way. So I don't expect an offlane Naga Siren, obviously, but I just want to throw it out there that it has been done before. Still, if I had to just make my best guess, I would say Witch Doctor, Rubik, Ember Spirit bottom, Nagasar top and Night Stalker mid, but obviously there are a lot of different factors provided for how they want to actually make this happen.
10 seconds remaining.
So the final selection from Mineski, like I expected, is not going to be a core hero. It's going to be something that provides some push utility, and in this case a lot of disable as well, but it is not going to be item dependent. Shadow Shaman is going to be here alongside the Sand King to just help reinforce the aspect of emphasis on kills, on heroes, and on towers. And they're not really going to be doing much more than that. So we'll see how the lanes break down, but for right now it's going to be Jay picking up a core role, which I love to see. He's going to play the Invoker here, and that's going to lead the stand-ins to pick up the Death Prophet and the Sand King, for what that's worth. Alright, just double-checking overlays and everything before we get underway. Don't want to be halfway through the game and have some issues here, so everything looks fantabulous. Looking over at the two teams here, thank you guys so much for tuning in once again to Good Play Gaming's SEAI group stage here on Beyond the Summit. Starting off with our first best of two match of the day, we're going to be looking at Mineski versus MVP. Over on the side of Mineski, it's going to be an Exhort Invoker played by Jay, getting pulled 2 tangos, going for that Null Talisman start. So again, the Cold Snap isn't as good. The Forge Spirits are easier to kill, but all the same, he's still a very potent hero when it comes to his spell set. So maybe they can set up the Sunstrikes, maybe they can get some good First Blood and Future Blood attempts. Now we're going to be looking over the supports. We do see Sand King is going to be played by Arcstyle, going for the Observer Wards, and not really investing much into Iron Branches. What that means is that he will only have 1 stun in the initial skirmish before like level 3. So actually with the level 3 it increases mana cost, so yeah, he's going to have only 1 stun at a time for a while. He can of course stun, pop a Clarity, and then 8 seconds later, if he hasn't lost it, will have enough mana, but it is still pretty expensive there at 110. Over on the Shadow Shaman, that's going to be played by, he's currently listed as ASD, also known as NMA, and an onslaught of other names. He has changed his name like pretty much 4 times in the past 2 months. But anyways, he's a boots for a Shadow Shaman, so he's going to be looking to get that Shackles range on one of his slower opponents, maybe the Night Stalker if they go for the gank on mid. Either way, for right now, they're going to be leaving Jesse Vash to go on the solo offlane boots first, and they are going to be running this Death Prophet in a kind of carry core role, doing a little bit of RS Dota here. So, picking up the early Ring of Basilius, trying to get that early push on and see what they can do, but already kind of whiffing the block here. It does mean that the Creep Equilibrium is going to be in favor of MVP Phoenix. Speaking of MVP Phoenix, oh goodness, actually this is going to be an opening for a huge First Blood attempt. They got the Invisor and they got in proximity, so they get the Shackles, they get the Burst Strike, but is it enough after that? Telekinesis back, secondary stun, taking a lot of damage, but no, just the 2 right clicks. I don't know if it's enough. 1 more, he's low armor, but he's just a little too quick on his feet, even against the boots first Shadow Shaman. So in the end, it's not going to be a kill. A lot invested and not much accomplished. They're going to be roaming about the dire jungle by the look of things. Down bottom, we're going to see some harder pressure being put out on BYB, and this very well could be a kill. He has nowhere to run right here. Like, if you tango this tree in particular, he'll be able to get back into his line, but he's in Riptide range. If they just nuke him down, there it is. The First Blood is spilled by March, and he actually gets out alive as well, which is really good between the two of them. So, back on top, action everywhere. Shackles into Burrow Strike, into Sunstrike, and Invoker will pick up the first kill for Mineski. So, yeah, they're pretty happy about that to get some early golden experience for the Invoker, but obviously the First Blood going to the most important hero for MVP, the Nagasar, is going to be a pretty big impact here. Anyways, I didn't get a chance to formally introduce them, so just looking over real quick at them, we got March on the Nagasaran. Witch Doctor is going to be played by Heen. Leaves Kiwo to play the Night Stalker. Rubik is going to be played by Raisin. Forev on that Ember Spirit, as I mentioned. Really fun to watch on this hero. But they're going to go for a 2 versus 2. Shadow Shaman in a bad spot here. Searing Chains onto 2. It's only 1 second, though. And they don't really have the follow-through. They need the Night Stalker to rotate. And yes, he will. So he's going to try to deny himself to neutrals. NMA trying to get in a little nook and cranny here. The last hit will go to Rubik, though. And in the end, that's going to be just another nice pick. So nice advantage for them. Sand King will pick up a regen rune, which certainly helps with those early mana problems. It will force QO to use the ground courier to try to restore his bottle charges. But beyond that, they're still looking in a pretty good spot. A lot of aggression, and you just see the hardcore zoning coming out from the Witch Doctor here. He has a lot of base damage, 61 base damage without a single stat item. he's able to trade hits with this 58 right-click damage Death Prophet so easily right now, and that makes it very difficult. Now the Ensnare is available, the Riptide too. Will he go for it? Yes! They're doing that, following it up with the Cask. You better look at it go, because here's the body blocks, the right-clicks, and the kill. BYB going down once again. Now, rotating in, finally bringing down the Shadow Shaman, but I just don't know if it's even fast enough. Like, Shanking, still level 1, no boots. It means that he can't really close the distance by himself, and yeah, already having lost the Death Prophet's life twice over, he's not even going to have, like, his Basilius for a while. We see some good ward placement from MVP. They're blocking off this spawn so the Sand King can't stack it up and farm his Blink Dagger as readily. Kind of same with the Bat Rider as well. And, of course, that also means that they have great vision. They know exactly where people are rotating, how to respond, and are able to get some nice early advantages here in the laning phase. There's, however, going to be a TP scroll. March coming back to the lane after a couple of early kills. He picks up a bottle of all things, so he's going to be using that mana as actively as he can. So I'm not sure exactly what patch that stat specifically holds, but obviously the win rates there definitely show us a little bit about, okay, post TF4, so qualifiers. So after the qualifiers have come through. Anyways, we're going to see the Bat Rider go for this 202 build. It's enough to kind of get out of bad situations here, going up on the cliff and so on and so forth, but other than that, he's just kind of holding position. Jesse Vash is going to be able to sustain with Trinkles, but he isn't going to necessarily like win the lane or deny any CS from that Ember Spirit. Looking over at the CS charts, though, we do see that Jay's on top of it, at least for now. We'll see him ganked up, though, and the Telekinesis getting in range will cinch that kill. So the last right click goes to Night Stalker. Down at bottom, however, we see the hard pressure being put out onto Heen. Nice cast, bouncing back and forth, but they still will go for the Burrow Strike, and the burst damage is almost enough to bring down Heen, but he has the Magic Stick, has the Voodoo Restoration, is given a bottle charge by March to keep that Voodoo going. So they're able to just fight it out, 2 versus 2, and the Shadow Shaman seems preoccupied. He's smoking up top. He wants to kill on Ember Spirit. They need to shut him down before level 6. Just keep these Napalm stacks flowing. This could be a very legitimate kill, but it's gonna expire. Oh, he gets the last one. So the Shackles comes through. Look at how much damage this Firefly does. He does get Searing Chains up, but one more Napalm stack. Will they go for the dive? No Magic Stick. He's pretty high on HP, but there are no TPs coming, so he's gonna go deep. They will get the kill on Forev, but now Bat Rider in a little bit of a rough spot, and he is going to have to just get out of dodge here, going kind of through the tree line. And Night Stalker doesn't seem to be moving. He seems pretty well set. Jesse Vash going to be pincered in just a moment here, but he has his Firefly in 12 and that increased movement speed because of Tranquil Boots. So Night Stalker, fast to boot at nighttime with the 2 points of Hunter of the Night, but still on tier 1 boots. It's going to be hard to guarantee anything. He's at the very least going to lead them on a Wild Goose Chase, and he's just going to Firefly right through this tree line here. So they can follow him, but they cannot find him, and it looks like he's just going to be able to take a really long road home, kind of taking the road less traveled. Anyways, that was another kill for the Invoker. Jay landing these Sunstrikes all day long, so he's going to have his Hand of Midas up pretty early on. Cold Snap here, going to do a little bit of harassment onto QO, but not too much to be honest. Now we see the Bat Rider actually coming back out. He tries to mess with the creep wave, and now he's actually pretty low on mana. So he's doing the exact same thing he did before, but now his Tranquil Boots are on cooldown, and he just barely is going to have enough mana for Firefly. Man, he is just really messing with things here. I don't exactly know if it's going to pay off for him, though, as we see Forev coming in, looking for the Searing Chains, but he doesn't have Sleight of Fist, so he has to get in range directly. And that Tranquil Boots, yeah, they're putting on cooldown once again. So Forev gets the Chains, and Jesse Vash will be going down, but he leads them on a merry chase. Now we see a fight breaking out. Jay dropping extremely low, QO on the forefront of this assault. They will bring him down. Heen taking some big hits, but the Searing... the Melting Strikes of the Forge Spirits is not going to be enough to bring him down, and he's bottled up once again. So, good movement there. They pick up a number of kills, 7 for 2 in favor of MVP. And it's just the nighttime Night Stalker that you don't want to be fighting at this stage of the game. He's got his Urn of Shadows, and even on tier 1 boots, he's still fast as all get out. Now going to try to juke in the tree line, or counter juke for that matter. BYB gets caught out, but the Void gets canceled by the Fog of War. Finally, they burst him down. Nagasaran taking another great kill. Sunstrike, however, might actually catch him out. No, Magic Stick and direct movement will actually keep him up. 85% win rate on a core Nagasaran. So March is not usually the one who picks it up, but nevertheless they're very familiar with how the hero plays, and that's actually going to bring them a lot of strength in this lineup here. I mean, they're already giving him a lot. Right now, 4-0 and 1. As my statsman mentioned, March is not usually the one who plays it. It's usually QO. But even still, that's perfectly fine for them working around it and having practiced it before. Diving deep onto the tower, this is what you can do with a Night Stalker. They're going to do it right onto NMA in a great telekinesis, knocking them down onto 2, and with these illusions, they're going to push down on this Tier 1 tower. That's gone for sure, and the counter pressure on mid isn't that substantial. There's no exorcism just yet. Finally comes out, immediately pops it, and will be hammering onto this Tier 1 in mid. The TP response, however, is currently towards the top lane, trying to make sure that Jesse Vash doesn't get the double or nothing play. So, yeah. It's pretty interesting here to see these two sides clashing. Right now it's going to be a TP in for the Naga Siren. She actually cannot get her Song of Siren off. She's going to go down before she casts it. Oh my gosh! That cold snap. Damage or no damage. It's got the disable, and now it's going to be Death Prophet. That gets traded in turn. And they actually get the deny on the tower, which is awesome. Like, you actually... it's a loss to trade that Naga Siren, who's gotten so much farm already, for the Death Prophet. But at the same time, getting the deny on top of it definitely puts the fight back in your favor. You're very happy to be able to get that deny, even at the cost of your Naga, and picking up the Death Prophet too is very important there. So she gets phase, not even Bassi, and it looks like she's just going to opt for like a Bracer or something, try to tank up a little bit casually. So phase drum build up for the Death Prophet, but doesn't even get the first tower of the game, and now they're being pressured up on the top lane. Now, this being said, Night Stalker lineups and compositions for teams don't really have that much prevalence during the daytime. They usually farm during the day and push during the night. But in this case, they have such an advantage in this early game that there's no reason not to put this hard pressure out. So they're going to go ahead. Tier 1 tower dropping pretty quickly. But I don't know if they're going to be able to actually... Oh, I guess if you look at the positioning of Mineski, they're not looking to respond to it at all. So yeah, it's a slow go, but... they should be able to bring it down with absolutely zero contest. In the meantime, that's going to give Jesse Vash, however, some time to pick up his Blink Dagger very shortly. Be looking for that in just a few moments here.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
So they're just going to try to counter pressure. They have the Exorcism back up in 3 seconds here, and they're going to use it to try to take this Tier 1. Great nukes coming out from the Ether Shock of the Shadow Shaman. He's level 5 looking for his wards alone, but they're going to pop Darkness and they're going to try to fight this here. Cask will go out just onto Death Prophet, no bounces, but still keeping her in range for all these different spells. They pick off the DP really quickly, and I think they have the Searing Chains for Shadow Shaman here. Do they have the Void? Anything? There we go. Both of them come out just at the last moment here. So they pick off 2. The tower doesn't get taken down at all, and the Exorcism was wasted immediately. So... that's how you need to deal with the Death Prophet, is just go ahead and burst her down when her ulti's active and don't give her a chance to really take much advantage of it. Now we're going to see a 2 versus 1 here on to March, trying to do the same thing with the Cold Snap as before. She can't cast those long animation spells while she is snapped up, but Arcel not going in range for that burrow. Doesn't get the opportunity. So, yeah, Jesse Vash going to get about an average Blink Dagger timing here. Has it coming out on the courier, and they're going to look to try to take advantage of that with that... of course, lasso to pull somebody out of position, but I don't know if the follow-through is really there. Like, normally you like lasso somebody, you pull them back, and you're like, okay, come at us because we have a Sand King that has Epicenter waiting, but the Sand King's only level 4. If we just look at the level charts, we have a level 4 and a level 5 support. Shadow Shaman's about to rectify that, farming up the jungle here for his 6, but even still, it's been a long time coming to get those items and those levels, and I just don't see that much of an impact from these guys here. Like, they're splitting jungle experience. It will be enough to get Rasta his ulti, but at the same time, it seems slow comparatively, and it's because they've been roaming so much, and of course because they've been losing so much on kills. I mean, Sand King is 0, 2, and 1. So now they have the wards. We'll see if they can make use of it, but right now it's going to be a pickoff perhaps. They have the Crypt Swarm and the Fade Bolt, enough burst to bring it down in just a fraction of a second. So... you blink and you miss it. He's gone. And they're actually stalking Jay up here. He knows they're there, or at least in the general area. But can they actually get these bounces with the cask? 5 seconds left on the cask. Pretty good positioning to try to bounce it between the Forge and the Arcel Magus himself. But it looks like they're just going to let that go. Forev continues his farming spree, using his Remnant to jump back and forth between the base. So it looks like he's going to go for that pretty quick Battle Fury build-up, and there's not really anything to stop him here. And and right back to the enemy jungle. So he's going to be taking farm away from the Sand King. They're controlling this area very effectively with these observer wards, and in fact with their own direct positioning, trying to kill off Jay once again. He's the highest level opponent on the entire map, actually. So they really do want to bring him down, and they're going to converge 3 versus 1 against him. He has the point in Wex, but it's not going to be fast enough. Crippled and killed. It's QO on a killing spree, and this is not looking good for Mineski whatsoever here in Game 1. So Tier 1 is going to go down for sure. Death Prophet still having a bad time. Actually, Sand King, what is he doing there? They have to have something. They're just burning him down over time. They have the immolation effect. They have the Crypt Swarm. Yeah, Arcstyle's going down. I have no idea why he just walked in there. Oh, I can totally counter push, guys. Don't worry about it. They don't have detection. They don't have detection. Now, it's going to be a 1-for-1 as far as towers go. A bit of a feed from Arcstyle to stand in. But otherwise, yeah, they're just going to go ahead and gain full control of the map right now. If they get a ward up on Ancients, like, there's nowhere safe for Mineski to farm. And, even then, like, who is going to be farming the Ancients right now? The Invoker, perhaps, with his high right-click damage, his forward spirits, but that's about it.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
So, Aghanim Scepter going to be coming out for Witch Doctor at a decent pace, I believe. Like, obviously, he's a support, so he's never going to have it, like, at the 20-minute mark or anything like that, but it's still well on its way. I mean, he's already got 2 of the 4 components. And Rubik, in fact, is going to be moving towards a Blink Dagger very quickly himself. So this is going to be a lot of aggression, a lot of range of initiation, and get a good Burrow Strike steal, and you're in a really good spot. He is going to steal Sandstorm here, so it's not going to be very impactful, but maybe you can farm the jungle with it, or just pick off the hero himself. Jumping in, QO takes that opportunity easily. So there's going to be a lasso here on top for Rev. Going to be dropping low pretty quickly. Does get hexed up inside the Firefly. Is it enough damage? They'll keep stacking that Napalm inside the Firefly, but the Remnant away. The Flame Break isn't enough just yet. He tries to lock them in with the Searing Chains, but instead he will fall. So the 5th kill on the board for Mineski. They'll take whatever they can get right about now. They do have Arcanes to keep active, but they can't stand up to a Night Stalker at nighttime. This guy is such a monster right now. A level 11, mega kill streak, looking for the kill on the bat. And this is where an Aghanim Scepter would certainly come in handy, but first things first, that BKB already on its way on the Courier. QO is just doing so damn well right now. Like, obviously, March has been farming up a storm, but he doesn't even compare to the net worth because of how many kills just come out directly for this Night Stalker. So, still, it's going to be a very fast Radiance of maybe like a 15, 16-minute Radiance coming out from March, and there's absolutely nothing to be afraid of here. They keep extending the nighttime with the darkness ability. They'll get 1 more good darkness out of this night, and with that, they should be able to pretty much gain full control and take out another Tier 2. For right now, though, they're just going to be happy with this BKB plus the Geometry Sight purchased by the Witch Doctor. Actually, yeah, he is delaying his Aghanim Scepter for that, but it's actually quite valuable. Oh, what is that? Jesse Vash wants a Courier. Not so fortunate. Gonna get picked here. The Death Ward getting the last hit, and yeah, they're going to be looking to take at least Roshan based on that. They can go for Tier 2, they can go for Roche. It's only a 35-second death timer, though, and he still has Lasso. So I'd say Roche is the easy kill to claim. They certainly have the right-click damage output to do just that. Still, all these Observer Wards, they may just say, screw it, we'll go for the heroes. And we see them all rotating around. They're all away from their towers. Very few of them have TP scrolls to get away, even when the initial nukes start flying. So, in this position, there's no reason not to go for all those kills. Now, as far as Radiant Observers, they're non-existent. We have a Radiant Sentry up here, and that's about it. There we go. So, Rubik's average blink time, of course, significantly later than that of the Batrider, and he's going to be able to pick it up 8 minutes in advance. So very, very good for this Rubik. Sitting 5-0 and 8. Man, has he been securing them kills. Actually topping the charts compared to the Night Stalker. That's pretty funny. So they're going to go for this Roche, and even though the Batrider is back up, I don't think he's going to fight it. Like, he's just trying to farm, and they know this with their warding. It's just black and white, how much vision the two teams have, and I guess that's, of course, the Geometry Sight on the Night Stalker. They get map control to get to D-ward freely, but even still, these Observer Wards are so aggressive and being used to great effect. Now a question of who gets the Aegis the Immortal. Both the Ember Spirit and Night Stalker can take advantage of it quite a bit, but if the Night Stalker plays as aggressive as he has been, I think he's the one to take it. And indeed, He's got a regen rune, he's got an Aegis, he's got a 10-second BKB, and he is ready to rumble. QO marching down bottom. NMA arc style will have to watch themselves. They have Epi, they have boots, but they do not have anything prepared for what's about to come. They have the gem, so they just go ahead, silence the Sand King, drop both of them down, and now it's 21 for 5. They're going to try to march to the high ground, and if Mineski can't hold it there, the game is done. Forev going for another clean TP. Essentially what he's doing here is counter pushing, making sure they don't have to trade any life points on their tower. They're going to get some nice farm from Forev, and he'll rejoin his allies in a few moments here, dropping down with that Fire Remnant. Though for now, oh, there he goes. He dodges out a meteor in the process, actually. Fighting fire with fire. Tier 2 going to be dropped down quickly. The fortification is available, but it's not going to be enough to hold it by itself. They need something big here. They need this epicenter to do something, but the Sand King is still 300 gold off his Blink Dagger. If they had this tier 2, and actually they might have it with these Necros with the Force Spirits, look at the tier 2. Sand King actually has his Blink right now because of that tower kill. And much needed one of that. It is going to be a pickoff here onto the Naga Siren up top. Was that a misplay? I think that was. I think he just died to the Necro. I'm actually going to, since it's been a small loo, at least for a moment, target Naga Siren. I don't want to miss this fight, but at the same time, I'm very curious. He should have died to the last will. He has 600 damage, he had 650 HP, and the Forge Spirit last hits him. But anyways, the fight will break out here. Jay gonna be silenced up. He's going down first. Sand King comes in, a blink after they're gonna try to do some work against Raisin here. He will almost get the kill. He will. Despite the null field, the Crypt Storm finishes him off, but Night Stalker's here to finish the job that he started. He hasn't even popped BKB yet. He still has his full 10-second BKB. He has an urn, bottle, and an Aegis. Like, keep chasing, guys. He's got everything he wants. He's got the haste rune. Now Perez back in. They get the Searing Chains. He's going to restore his way back up into this fight. And Bat Rider, there's nowhere to run, man. He's going to try to go for the TP, but the Void comes in, and he's going down. They wasted the wards. They did get a couple of kills, but they're only the supports to be picked off. So Ember Spirit did buy back for that. That's one thing to point out, is he had to buy back and Remnant back in, or maybe even just TP to the tier 1. That does mean that his Battle Fury will be delayed. And as well, of course, they did last hit that carry with the Last Will plus Forge Spirits. I mean, the Naga Siren only has 1,000 HP right now. Last Will, 600 pure damage. Yeah, it's going to do a lot. QL going to dodge out the Sunstrike, incidentally, if not intentionally. And he's just going to be happy to farm here and perhaps exhaust his Aegis. It is going to be Jay to jump in with a Deafening Blast, trying to do some damage here. But he's 1 versus 3, and now he's going to get focused down. A Blink Barrel onto QO. They will pop the Aegis. And Forev in a bit of a bad spot. The Shackles will come through. They've got Invoke coming down. Cold Snap's going to be the skill of choice, and they are doing a lot of damage here. Mana Burn from each Necronomicon strike, and one of them is going to drop very, very low, but though neither will fall. Sunstrike stolen by Raisin, now thrown out at both of them, but it's split among the two. Can the range creep actually do it? He has the movement speed aura, but it looks like it's not going to happen. Raisin walks away. The Shadow Shaman barely gets out himself. I believe he was struck by the sun.
But you won't see him.
Anyways, crazy back and forth action. It's hard to keep track of everywhere on the map, but yeah, we do see that some item progression is coming out for Mineski here. They do have the triple Necronomicon. They have a couple of Force Stabs, 2 Blink Daggers, and of course now this Yule's on DP. So they have some potential to take a fight, but it just still pales in comparison to what the Night Stalker brings right now. He's got 3,700 gold banked up, so he can go for a number of items. Maybe like the old Armlet build, maybe the one that I appreciate the most, which is the Aghanim Scepter build. But no matter what, he has a 10-second BKB and a huge amount of cash. We are going to see, however, an attempt to bring down Forev here. It looks like it's going to be successful. They have too much Disable, and he didn't have a Remnant in place. So he's going to be picked off here, but that just creates space for March to continue his farming spree. Illusions, you can just watch. Look at the mini-map right now. Look at where these illusions are. One in mid, one in the Radiant jungle, and one pushing out on top as well. This Radiance and Riptide being taken advantage of in full. March is going to be able to just catapult forward and farm. Right now, he just surpassed his own Night Stalker. He has his BOTs and can look for that Manta or Diffusal next.
Whoa, look at it go!
So we're going to look at it go. It will lock down these Necronomicon warriors for a very long time. That it has an extended stun duration for them, and it's going to be Night Stalker to go ahead and last hit it. He has Urn, he's got Bottle, shrugs off that damage pretty easily. In the meantime, that Radiant's counter push is just so painful. March is going to hold them in place. The Song of the Siren's up, and here comes the Death Ward. Look at it go, boy. Oh, the Sunstrike misses. He's going to blink out. It's going to be only the Death Prophet to fall, but that TP not going to work out for the Death Prophet. However, the Shadow Shaman did actually dodge it. He didn't get hit by the Sunstrike. It was a few milliseconds off there with the Song's invulnerability, and then he did blink as soon as he could. So, good positioning from the Shadow Shaman there, and of course, very happy for NMA to finally find his blink dagger. Double damage Night Stalker, not something you want to be dealing with at this stage of the game. He does pick up his axe as well, so he can see every ward right now. Let's just look at Dire Vision right now. For those that don't understand how the Aghanim Scepter works, it is gigantic clear vision at any point in night. Darkness or not, he sees his opponents right now. He sees Jesse Vash, he sees the wards because he has Gem as well, and he's going to go right on top of him. He starts off with the silence, but there is going to be the Blink Hex. There is the stun. They're going to try to bring him down despite the DD, and with all these nukes, they've gotta, don't they? Oh, the BKB, the runaway, the cask, but they do lasso him. So they get the kill, 950 gold in Invoker's pocket, and they do also get the gem, I believe. So, yeah, they'll pick that one up. So that's a huge kill. That is a huge kill. 10-second BKB expended. The double damage Night Stalker is no longer a threat. They get 850 gold out of that kill, 950 gold out of that kill, and a 900 gold item in terms of the Geometry Sight. So they do have room to bring back map control, but it's just so hard to really feel confident in this position. You're pushing against a Naga who has a GPM of 564, who has her Radiance already up. You're going to have to get some crazy good pickoffs on March if you're going to be able to actually have a shot at this game. And also you have to look at Roshan. It's a dire advantage game, but you do have some tools to invade the pit, whether it be the Epicenter plus potentially the Veil of Discord soon, or just that Bat Rider with that. I have some clear vision of his FY. So they're just going to be able to push here onto the bottom tier 2. It doesn't seem to be contested hardly at all. The Serpent Ward's in place, and yeah, they're going to be looking to finish that off, or maybe the deny will come through. Kyo's got a lot of right-click damage. They'll clear out the wards as quickly as possible, and in the end here, it looks to be denied. But they're going to try to take advantage of that opportunity to go in deep, find their opponents, but they're already TP'd out. So, Mineski, for the first time this game, take a real unrequited victory. Like, they take everything there. They, of course, don't get the tower. That's unfortunately denied by Raisin. But even still, like, that's the first time they've been like, okay, we won, and we didn't feed at the same time, and that's actually a pretty big deal because they're moving forward. If you look at the golden experience graph, okay, the experience graph is tapered off and leveled out pretty effectively, but the gold graph is moving back the way of Mineski, whether it's just the gigantic freaking killing spree that was ended or just the fact that they are actually getting some farm across the map now. Either way, Mineski see a small sliver of hope in the distance. Frev looking for that Battle Fury still. He actually has the Claymore, so yeah, there it is. It is going to be the completed BF, and that means that clumping is no longer a good option for Mineski. As far, I mean, it never really was against a couple of these heroes already, but in particular, that aspect where now Frev can cleave against them. It makes their armor irrelevant because it does enhanced damage. And look at these Searing Chains actually coming through. Like, if they clump up against a creep wave or anything like that, it's going to hurt. It is a delayed Battle Fury, but it still might work. The last one will come out onto Kyo's BKB, but they dropped the Song of the Siren on the Epicenter. The Epicenter is wasted entirely, and now they're going in. A nice Yules for the exercising Prophet, but it's not going to be enough to do more than bring out Frev. Actually, BYB, he's still alive. Are you serious right now? Are they actually going to be able to get him out? That is insane. A huge win for Mineski once again, and by just the slightest bit. They even pick up Raisin on the back end with that Exorcism. Invoker the one to get the last hit. Wow, did that just happen? Oh my gosh, that is insane. It looked bad at first, but okay, now it's looking bad for the second time. Jesse Vash definitely going down. They lose the gem, and with this ensnare connecting Invoker, yeah, he'll TP away. Kyo doesn't have the Void, at least in range. Sunstrike! Dropping him down to 200, but he will be able to get out of there. But yeah, well, the big thing that happened there was that self-Yules. Death Prophet in a really bad position after that song. The Epicenter whiffed. All they were able to force out for the Night Stalker was BKB and about half his health pool. But what they did get off was this Exorcism. So when she was caught in a weird little position in the central part of the fight, or right around the Serpent Wards, she just popped the Yule Scepter on herself, and what that ended up doing was providing the opportunity for all these spirits to dish out their physical damage to out a ton of different targets because they're in range of just about everyone. And on top of that, the Mass Serpent Wards were focus firing. Now we're going to see a pick off here. The Invoker does get a little bit singled out here. His Force Staff and BOTs both on CD, and just walking into no man's land against an Aga Night Stalker just doesn't work. Blinking out, Arc Style gets hit by the Radiance. He can cast a Burrow Strike down to the low ground. His Blink actually was on cooldown already. So we're going to see some movement to push on this tier 2. They're trying to kind of nail it home now because they know that there are so many opportunities for them to slip up, even with this big of a lead. The comeback was real for a quick moment for Mineski, and it's still not dead yet, but obviously MVP trying to crush those dreams here and now. Serpent Wards will drop down, force a TP rotation. March forced to essentially just clean up. He's going to go get some nice gold from the wards, but otherwise they just want to keep their tower alive. Defensive play now. QL going to stalk to try to find a certain target, but that one's already right back home. The value of the TP scroll once again. Man, that team fight down bottom really changed things as far as my outlook on this game. Like, it was looking to be a one-and-done type situation where MVP just had this crushing lead. And they still do have the late game, don't get me wrong. If Forev gets more farm than he currently has been acquiring, if the March just continues to move towards that 6th and 7th item slots, like, there is no way for Mineski to come back. But for right now, they've taken a couple of fights, and you put a buyback on cooldown, you get a kill on that person, and suddenly you're playing 5v4 and you have a real chance at actually finishing it off. So it just comes down to kills, it just comes down to buybacks, and a lot about this Roche. Night Stalker, of course, has a lot of vision on it, feels pretty confident in the pit himself, and he's going to go ahead and reinforce that with a Vladmir's Offering. You get the lifesteal on your 3 melee heroes, you get the armor aura against the Death Prophet, all very good things. And of course on top of that now, he's got this double damage rune active. While I'm looking over at Roche, it is going to be a quick little pick off here. They blink in, they get the lasso onto Forev, and they certainly have enough disables to bring him down. So they bring down Forev for like what feels like the nth time. This is going to be the 7th time, 7 deaths on Forev's Ember Spirit. That is insane. And although it looks like they're going to get Roche out of it, it still is a pretty costly death for him. I mean, he's losing so much income. He's going to be sitting on 1 Battle Fury for the majority of the rest of this game. And we do see, yeah, they're going to be able to bring down this Roche. Double damage put to use. They are going to be finishing this off, and the Aegis is once again in the hands of the Night Stalker, it seems. No bottle. Reason to take the bottle. Anyways, the defense will come through here. Wards and Exorcism coming down. They'll have to pop the Fortify to keep it alive, but looking over at the Naga Siren, he's got heart. March is looking to fight this here, but Manta Style only just now coming up, and he needs to get to the front lines immediately. Now coming out, pops the Manta to start things off, and yeah, they're just going to force them back here. Oh, maybe not. Blink. Telekinesis back, but Arc Style trying to come in. Unfortunately, the Radiance hits him, and Epicenter will not be blinked into the fight. So now it's going to be QO with that gem, pursuing onto the Sand King. And though he gets lassoed up, the Sand King falls. So they're pursuing out. March doing a huge amount of AoE damage, and although the Aegis will pop in the Firefly, they have cleaned house here. Now Forev looking for vengeance, has the Searing Chains. There she goes, and Jay is going to be going down. So they do lose a Rax out of this. They lose the tier 3, and they end up losing the range Rax, but at the same time, they take this fight, which they desperately needed to claim to move forward in this game. So now the Aghanim Scepter is up on the Witch Doctor. If they had a huge team fight before, they certainly have it now. And he's actually closing on a level 16 as well. So we just look at this as kind of the tipping point. It's kind of a bypassing the PSR, the point of safe return, where they can just kind of go in and say, we're not going to let you cross this line. We're not going to let you pass the river. The dire territory is certainly ours, and we're going to try to claim the Radiance as well. So if they continue to keep their lanes pushed out with the Naga Siren, now that she has all these big items, they can actually control the fights very effectively, and they should be able to seal the deal. But, I mean, we've seen some big things happen. We've already seen a couple of fights go the way of Mineski, so who knows what will happen next. Right now it's a 7,500 gold advantage in favor of MVP Phoenix, as well the experience is tending towards 12,000 towards them. They're gonna, holy crap, look at that! A huge Searing Chains coming out from the Sleight of Fist. Now QO gonna be pulled out of position, but they're not actually gonna focus him down. It's gonna be the Hex on a March. He's low mana, and he's probably not gonna have any mana after these Necros have something to say about it, but at the same time, he still is pretty quick on his feet, and he's very, very tanky with that. harder to ask. So they don't really want to push out too far outside the base. It's very risky. And now Reason with a stolen lasso is going to be pulling in BYB. He does get the Yules off, but not with the exorcism up. So he's just going to be lifted immediately and brought right down. The Sand King trying to make something happen here, but I don't even know. Oh, he got caught out there, and he is going to be dropping down. So this is not looking good for them at all. March pushing here on the top lane with all these illusions. Radiance emanating across, and another spell steal comes out. The Arsenal Mages is now counteracted. The Grand Mages steal. First the Lasso, now the Force Spirit. This Aghanim Scepter doing work, and they're going to look to seal it right here and now. The racks are falling on all sides. The top tier 3 being pushed in by illusions. The mid racks decimated by the full force of MVP Phoenix, and there really is no coming back from a 4 racks loss, so they have to hold it on the top lane here and now. They do have the epicenter, but can they even get in the right position? BYB pops out the exorcism, needs to use his Yules pretty quickly here just to get his damage out, but where is that Sand King? Looking for the epicenter. They need a huge epi right now. They're pulling QO with the lasso, looking in just for a burrow strike onto Farev. The Meteor Deafening Blast combo is going to drop Reason low, but he mitigates a lot with that null field, and he pulls back Arc Style with the telekinesis. So no epicenter. Instead, he's going to go down to the Riptide, and they will clean up these racks. 3 dead for Mineski. The 2 remaining can't hold the line, and that's 4 out of 6 of the racks down. Sunstrike will come through. It looks like they're fishing for Raisin, but he's already back safe and sound in the base. So the illusions will put some damage in the tier 3. They'll probably retreat for now, sit back, and in worst case scenario, take Roshan when it does respawn. At this point, Mineski are in a point of desperation. They're bringing out the courier here. It looks like Death Prophet wants to finish her Bloodstone, or no, she's going for the full Shivas. Hard to say when I'm not actually looking at the courier stuff. She doesn't have any cash though, so I can't imagine this would be anything valuable unless I misread something. It's somebody else's. Okay, it's Jay's Hex is what they're looking for, and he has everything but the Void Stone for it. I just saw the Death Prophet was the one microing the courier, so I assumed she was the one purchasing, but in fact, she's a little broke right now. So it is going to be Jay looking for that Hex, but it just feels like it's a little bit too late. Like, it's a great late game tool against an Ember Spirit, especially a double Battle Fury Ember Spirit, who's essentially a glass cannon. But even still, they're at such a disadvantage that they would need a miracle fight to happen. And if you look at buybacks right now, 700 gold from now, Naga will have 2 lives. Not only the massive life of the Heart plus Butterfly, but obviously the buyback life on top of that. For now, though, March is vulnerable. And if he does get picked off, that will be a small opportunity for Mineski once more. So 1 racks by 27 minutes and a second by 35 is the average for that kind of push combo, where you have the Master from Wards plus the Exorcism, and I believe it. I mean, the amount of damage you can put out in a physical sense against towers is absolutely insane, but MVP, they've counteracted it quite effectively here. They just go ahead, they hold it, they turtle it, they're picking out the dance that the Ember Spirit will be doing here because of that little animation bug. But anyways, yeah, that is going to be the push stifled, and now counteracted by this Radiance Naga Siren, who has so much tank behind her. But it's important to note she doesn't have buyback, and if she gets brought down early enough in the fight, there's going to be problems. Hard to do because of the song, they have boots to travel, but there are some tools like Flame Break available to do this. Ghost Scepter comes out, the Death Prophet taking a lot of magic damage though, and will be forced away to try to heal up once again. The tier 3, the last tier 3 tower, will be dropping down readily, and this is Mineski's last stand. There are no buybacks on the table from both sides right now. Maybe March will have it soon. He just got the cash for it, but the Cold Snap pulling him under the tower. A lot of damage going his way. They try to bring him down, but to no avail. Let's look at this Rubik. He's been stealing out of his mind. I want to keep an eye on him. But for now, it's just Crypt Swarming about. They get the song, they lock in BYB, and they're going to look to finish him out with his own Crypt Swarming nukes. So they're going to delay the inevitable. The Yules thrown up in the air like he does, just doesn't care. But Raisin gets a killing spree, and they look to finish it off here. GGWP comes out. Jay tried his best to carry the team, but if you look at it, he's the only one with a really valuable net worth. Like, he is the only one worth mentioning as far as farm goes. We do see the Death Prophet kind of had some comparison at 14,000, but this was the safe lane carry Death Prophet that was designed to build momentum, and instead is picked off a number of times, 9 times in total, and just doesn't get enough done, unfortunately. Even Forev bounced back a little bit harder and was pretty much matching her net worth-wise despite his 7 deaths. So all in all, I gotta say that Jay, he did the best he could, and I gotta give him my MVP, even though when it comes down to it, MVP Phoenix just were the ones who, as a team, absolutely dominated here. So Rubik did particularly well with all those spell steals. The lasso was a pretty tricky one to grab, but he got it. And in general, just some smooth movement from MVP, showing why they are the wild card qualifiers from SEA. So we're going to be going into one more game in this 2-game series here between these two teams, MVP Phoenix and Mineski, going at it once again. Sorry guys if my casting was a little bit below what the par it usually was. It's been a long morning here. I cast a bunch of Chinese Dota and I woke up at like 1 in the morning, essentially my time. So it's been an interesting one, but we'll try to seal it out with another awesome game. We're going to have this one coming up, Game 2 of Mineski versus MVP Phoenix, and then we're going to have a match between Zero Latitude and Invasion. So that should be awesome. Until then, thank you guys so much for tuning in here to Beyond the Summit and to the Good Play Gaming SEA Invitational. Shout out to Cat in the Box, the partners of the tournament, and shout out to you viewers for joining me on this journey into the SEA Dotes. But 6.81b still kind of shows us kind of a similar results as far as metagame for now. We'll see if they innovate with a few of the future games. Until then, thanks for tuning in. Once again, I myself am Blaze. You can look me up on twitter.com/blazecasting if you want to hear more from me. And also, of course, I've got my stats man here. This is Captain Kirk Stat. You can follow him on Twitter as well. Much appreciated, man. Anyways, that's going to be it for this here, going into Game 2 in just a few minutes.